Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy A-Eazy checking in. You already know what it is. You know what we do on this channel, YouTube. I'm back with some more React content. I promised you guys I was going to be more consistent. I let you down. It's my bad. It's my bad. I'm going to try my best to post more videos on this channel, guys, because I'm realizing that I've been neglecting my YouTube community, and I've been posting more on like the Meta platforms and TikTok. Well, guess what, guys? I'm back. You're gonna get more of me. You should be happy. I feel bad for you just a little bit, you know. Anyways, guys, we're back with a video from Alana Pierce. Alana Pierce, if you guys are not familiar with her work, she is a game journalist, YouTuber, streamer, and game writer. She wears a lot of different hats. Make sure you guys go into the description below, subscribe to her channel, like this video. The video today that we're going to watch, guys, is about PlayStation and how they're ending physical games in 2028. I have hesitated to comment about this particular subject because I mainly do digital games, guys. I upgraded to the PS5 Pro, and it doesn't have a disc drive, and I didn't buy a disc drive for it. I didn't want to spend the $80. I guess I'm being a little cheap. Anyways, also, even before that, I was getting digital games. I share games with my son, so that he could play it on his PlayStation, and it's just easier that way to be able to allow him to download the new games that I buy digitally, so we could play them at the same time. That's a cool feature, guys. If you didn't know that about PlayStation console sharing, you have to be logged into that other console in order for that to work, but it is a cool feature that PlayStation has. At one point, guys, I did have a big physical game collection. My game collection for the PS5 was over 150 physical games at one point, and for the PS4 it was over 400 at one point. I have sold all those when I sold my house in 23, you know, and I went straight digital in 23, so kind of is what it is, I guess. But anyways, guys, we're gonna jump into the video. Make sure you subscribe today, join the kingdom. Make sure you like, share this video, all the above. But let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Let's see what she's talking about.
I made this video that should be on screen somewhere right now back in February, and several hardware price hikes and a $1,000 Steam machine later, I just...
Facts.
I knew this was coming. I just didn't think it would be this fast. That's what she said. But today, let's specifically talk about PlayStation and why they just did something that everyone hates, that they knew we would all hate, the enormous public backlash that has come from that, and why none of that backlash, no amount of public outrage or petitioning, will be able to change it. In case you missed it, PlayStation announced that they are ending physical disc production via a post on the PlayStation blog. It reads,
Yep.
As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. On the exact same day, they also announced an update on the PlayStation Store for the PS3 and PS Vita. The second blog post reads, After nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know we will be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 as well as on PS Vita. PlayStation
Sony, that's a hell of a way to do it, right? The day you say, you know, physical games are going to be done in 28, you shut down the Vita and the PlayStation 3 servers basically for the store. Come on, man. I'm a big Sony fan, but I gotta admit, that was gonna happen at some point anyway. Sony can't afford to just like keep updating the store for the PS3 and the Vita and maintaining that when those console generations are far removed from the current generation at this point. So I mean, I can't necessarily blame them on that. They gave it a long run, guys, and I know that there are a lot of games that are like locked to the PS3 because of the cell architecture that the PS3 has, and that does suck a lot. But there are a lot of PS3 games you are able to stream if you guys have PS Plus, and I know that's another subscription that you have to pay for, and I know that sucks overall, guys. So that's not removed from me at all. And you are able to download, sorry, my alarm just went off. But you were able to download your games and put them on an external hard drive or on a thumb drive and be able to preserve your digital PS3 games that way. But overall, man, it's just a lot of bad PR for Sony, just back to back to back, man. And to talk about what she said real quick about when she read the statement about most people buy digital games over physical games, there's a lot of reasons for that, I think. And I know a lot of people have made on YouTube have already made videos about this, and I know I hesitated to make this video for a while. But what I'm gonna say is some of the reasons for that has to do with people wanting to play the game, you know, at midnight when the game releases. They want early access, or they want exclusive skins or appearances, missions, or something that might be tied to digital. Maybe the game only had a digital release and didn't have a physical release. There are multiple reasons why those numbers could seem kind of odd a little bit. And I don't know for how long Sony's been doing this, but I know when I bought my Horizon Forbidden West collector's edition, and when I bought the collector's edition for God of War Ragnarok, I know those did not have physical disc in them. They had like a little card inside the steel book, or inside the game case. I can't remember which one it was, but it had a download code in it. It didn't have a physical disc. So that's something to think about. So that was a digital game right there. Plus, if a game comes bundled with the console, that's probably also being counted into those digital numbers. So this is so much that goes into that. And I don't know how the PlayStation Plus membership ties into when they have all those free games with premium and extra. I don't know how that ties into digital sales per se. I don't know how that translates over, but I'm sure it translates over in some way, which is going to essentially inflate those numbers a little bit more. But we'll go ahead and see what she has to say about it.
PlayStation Store on PS3 will close in select markets starting this year, followed by global closures for the PS3 and PS Vita next year. That means new content purchases will no longer be possible once the PlayStation Store closes on these devices. Truly a double hit on game preservation efforts, and I'm not going to talk about the various negatives here for too long, because I figure surely if you're interested in this topic, you've already seen the various reasons that it sucks real bad, discussed extensively.
A whole bunch of people have already made these videos.
I have to read through like 300 pages of earnings reports and investor statements to make these videos. It takes me a really long time, and YouTube's not my main job. It's not even technically my second job, so I'm always late, and I'm sorry. Give me a break.
Yeah, same here.
But I do want to quickly highlight some of them before we get into why they did this thing that we all hate and don't even care that we hate it, that's slightly more complex than people seem to think. Obviously, Sony is not wrong in saying that their customers are largely buying digital. Their last report says that only 3% of the company's sales are attributed to physical hardware. Physical game sales are down across the board. This is what people are voting for with their wallets, but at the same time, I just want to point out 3% is still a lot of people. That is millions of people. A study from the ERA, which is the Digital Entertainment and Retail Association, actually found that 25% of people under 25 still buy physical discs. But even if you aren't one of those people, there is still a bunch of ongoing kind of quiet value in physical distribution for Sony's customers. For one, of course, games that are delisted for any reason, this often happens when licenses for certain brands or music expire, will just no longer be accessible at all if we can't at least get physical versions. Not only may this include things that you have paid full price for, which is so anti-consumer that I don't understand how it's allowed. It's also just, I don't know, really sad to me in a way. Like,
let's just pause that for a second, because I have to say this, guys. just because you have a physical disc does not mean that you're going to be able to play that specific game. Let's just make sure that we're clear about that. There's a few different ways that could happen. Okay. If that game has to be online, like if you have to be online to play that game, even though you have a physical disc of it, that game's not going to work if they kill the servers for that game. That game's going to be dead in the water. Another way that could happen is that Sony or the developer can kill that game even if you have a disc. If your system is online, and like I said, if it's required to be online to play the game, they can instantly, like as soon as you put that disc in, they can shut that game down and you won't be able to play it. And here's another thing to think about when you think about these different things. There's so many different like things that go into this. Just because you have a physical copy of the game, let's say you have a physical copy of Crimson Desert, right? And let's say Crimson Desert just killed their servers tomorrow. I mean, Pearl Abyss killed their servers tomorrow, and you can't access any patches for Crimson Desert, right? Well, guess what? You're gonna be playing the worst possible version of that game on that disc, and that game is gonna be in some parts, especially for PlayStation or Xbox, all of them, is it's gonna be unplayable. Okay, is that the best way to preserve a game? I don't think so, guys. I think that's like the worst. This is one of the worst arguments, I think, for game preservation. That if you kill discs, you kill game preservation. Physical discs is not the issue when it comes to game preservation. Let's just make that clear. Okay, it's ownership. It's license versus ownership. That right there is the problem. Okay, let me just make that completely clear, because a lot of YouTubers are not talking about that specific part. The only YouTuber I've seen actually talk about this has been Asmongold. He's the only one that I've seen talk about ownership versus license. And then when it comes down to, do you really own the game? Do you not own the game? Like, what is your actual, like when you buy a game, what are you actually buying? What is the company responsible for? What is the consumer responsible for receiving? What are regulators and compliance regulators in the government responsible for oversight in this industry? Like, all these things play a factor. Like, what are the consumer protection laws around digital ownership right now? That's the problem. Okay, so just because you have a physical disc, and sometimes the physical disc doesn't even have the game on there, bro. It has an installer on there or a game code that you basically put the disc in and it starts downloading the game from the internet itself, not from the actual physical disc. The physical disc is just a game key, basically. And these are all the things you have to really think about when it comes down to physical versus digital. And I think, like I said, a lot of YouTubers are just missing this point, bro. They're just missing it, or they're choosing not to talk about it because they want to basically get clicks and views, and they want to basically feel fearmonger. I made a video about this a couple reaction videos ago. A lot of YouTubers will just ride whatever bandwagon's going on, and I hate that about the platform, and I hate that not necessarily about YouTube itself, but just like YouTube game journalists in general. They don't think outside of their little of the box that everybody gets to put themselves into, versus really seeing things for what it is and actually having a solid opinion of their own when it comes to stuff. But I digress. Let's just keep going with the video, bro.
There might be games that you love, that you would love to share with people that you love, that could just be erased from existence. People who spent years and years and years of their lives working on these games may never be able to show them to their children. It's just, I don't know. Not being able to share art that you love feels exceptionally soulless, so there's that. Sony actually does have a history of doing this as well. They recently delisted a long list of low-quality AI games, which, to be clear, is a move I'm actually in favor of, considering these are basically scams. But they've also done it with video content numerous times, taking down films and TV series that people may have paid full price for when licenses expired. It is something the industry does. It sucks. It's worse without physical even being a backup option. I would like to state here, though, just among like a lot of the noise that I'm seeing, while
I mean, I'll say one thing about that, guys. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. One thing I'll say about that is when you buy stuff now, like, you're buying a license. Who in their right mind bought movies on their PlayStation? Like, who does that nowadays? Like, I get it, the license expired and you lost those movies that you paid for. Should you be compensated for that? 100%, bro. You should be compensated for that. I'm on board for that. But who in their right mind is buying, like, you have so many other options, bro. You can stream it. First of all, you're probably already paying for Netflix, Hulu, Disney, Paramount, whatever it is. But also, bro, why didn't you just buy it on Amazon Prime, like Prime Video, like 99% of the other people out there? I don't know. Regardless, though, I think the people that did buy that stuff, they should be compensated in some way, shape, or form, bro, because that's wrong to me that they lost like something that they actually paid for just because Sony didn't have the license for it anymore.
This already always sucks. Frequency of this has no reason to increase because of this decision. Sony does want games to remain available for purchase so they can keep getting their 30% cut from third-party publishers and indies, unless there is some legal reason that they can no longer sell them. I don't think it's going to get worse as a result of this announcement. Basically, still sucks. But before we get to my actual biggest concern, I just want to mention there are also the many, many people who depend on the secondhand game market to actually take part in the hobby. I know that this side of the business is shrinking quite rapidly, but it is legitimately impactful for those who depend on it. I traded in almost every single game I played as a teenager, and I exclusively bought physical pre-owned copies because it's all I could afford with my like tiny McDonald's salary. Without that system, the hobby would have been very close to inaccessible to me. I genuinely cannot imagine how different my life would be if I couldn't buy pre-owned games as a kid. Just really sad to think about. But yes, my actual...
I would say, bro, that's a really good point. I remember when I was broke, bro, when I ain't have no money, bro, like buying used games at Game Crazy or GameStop, Best Buy, like, bro, that was clutch for me, bro. That was an important way for me to be able to buy the games I wanted and to play the games I wanted. When GameStop ran their buy two used games, get one free during a holiday, or even Best Buy ran buy two, get one free on brand new games, bro. Like, I bought so many games that way in the past, and I was able to play so many games I wanted to like that in the past. And not to mention, like, just all the Black Friday sales. I just think that is a very important part, like, that's gonna be missed. And GameStop overall is gonna take a big hit with this, and I feel bad about that. I'm sure it's gonna lead to layoffs. It has to. Now, there was a report that GameStop released, or a statement that GameStop released, saying that most of their sales now are collectibles, like Pokemon cards, Funko Pops, t-shirts, apparel, stuff like that, versus like actual physical games. And I think consoles was also grouped into the rest of this stuff with the collectibles. But my thing is this, though, still at some point down that line, you guys are gonna take a hit, bro. Like, GameStop's gonna take a hit on this, and I think they're The reason why GameStop released that statement was because they had to release that because of their investors and the people that invest in their company. They had to state that to basically to make them happy, essentially, and to make sure that they don't start pulling stock out of their company. Like, that's one of the reasons why they had to release some type of statement for that.
Biggest real concern is monopoly. PlayStation are removing competitors, being that this is obviously leading to the removal of physical disc drive to the PS6 entirely. They're making it so that every PlayStation game that you buy from PlayStation. This doesn't happen on PC. If you're not happy with Steam or you want to look for a sale, there are several other stores available. PlayStation.
Now, guys, can't sit here and pretend like she just didn't read the statement, I don't know, 10-15 minutes ago that stated retailers are going to have game codes to sell. So you can go to GameStop, or you can go to Target, or you can go to Walmart, and it's probably going to be like GTA. You can buy a box with the game code in there. Or it could be, I don't know, like Roblox style, Fortnite, V-Bucks style. You got a card and you just scratch off the back and then it has the code for the game on there. Do you not think that these retailers are not going to be able to discount these games some way, shape, or form? They will be able to do that. They'll be able to do that, guys. They do that around the holidays with Roblox gift cards, Fortnite V-Buck cards. Like, they already do that with these with digital cards for these like only digital things you could buy. Like, sometimes they'll run a sale and it'd be like, if you buy I don't know, Roblox gift card for $10, you could buy a $10 Roblox gift card for $5. They do that around Black Friday all the time. The reason why I know that is because I buy Roblox gift cards for my kids, and around Black Friday to put in their stocking for Christmas. Like, that's a good deal, bro, and they run that deal every single year. Not to mention, PlayStation, I don't think a monopoly is really too much of the issue per se, because PlayStation runs deals and discounts on games all the time, and I gotta admit, the deals and discounts are they're pretty good. And who's not to say, like, PlayStation might not let, like, maybe game, and this is something I've been thinking about too that actually makes a lot of sense that I haven't heard anybody talk about actually. Like, what if Sony, in a gesture of good faith, allowed, let's say, a retailer like GameStop to be able to create a app for the PlayStation, right? And people will be able to buy PlayStation 5 games through that app, through that GameStop app on their PlayStation, and they'll be able to launch the game from that app. Sony, and the deal could be for Sony, like, hey, you guys still get a cut of this sale of 30%, but we want our own launcher. Kind of like how on PC you have what is it? GOG, Steam, Epic, EA has theirs. I forget what it's called, EA Play or something like that. But you have all these different ways to buy games. Like, what if they did it that way? Like, and Best Buy could have an app. I don't know, man. For me, that seems like a good logical choice, but maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm not. I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea or not.
Have already been A/B pricing as well since November of 2025. This is where different people in the same region are shown two different prices, so Sony can see which one sells more and then adjust prices accordingly. According to psprices.com, they did this with over 190 games in 70 plus regions, but it was actually largely focused on discounts, as in seeing if a discount would make people buy a game significantly more. This can easily lead to dynamic pricing though, where they realize realize some people might spend more for something than others and thus inflate their prices for that.
Do you guys know that Amazon does that too? Like, Amazon offers, all right, say if you have something in your Amazon cart and you hit save for later, right? What happens is that you hit save for later, but Amazon will discount that item just for you as a deal and not for everybody else. They do that every once in a while to tempt you into buying that specific product. Amazon does that right now. Like, what's the difference between Amazon and Sony?
Specific user based on their data. And I think just especially with Xbox making themselves less and less competitive as a platform, this just woof. Turns out healthily competing console manufacturers actually very good for consumers, and wanting one of them to win over the other was in fact always really fucking stupid. Obviously, I'm not alone in feeling extremely negatively about this.
Well, whose fault is that, bro? Xbox did that to themselves, bro. They really did that to themselves. You can't blame PlayStation for that.
Has been a ton of backlash that sadly I just do not think is going to work. We'll get to that right after this word from today's sponsor. It is time to talk about CookUnity. CookUnity is a chef-to-you meal delivery platform. Their chefs make hundreds of fresh, never frozen meals delivered weekly. So, a bunch of companies have directly come out opposing Sony's choice here. IM 8-bit, Atari, Lost in Cult, Limited Run Games, even Hideo.
Almost everybody has.
Really sad. Won't somebody think of Hideo? The Video Game History Foundation specifically issued a statement touching on how this has been a losing battle for them for many, many years. It reads, "If platform owners are deciding to eliminate physical media and older digital storefronts, then we'd also like to see trade groups like the Entertainment Software Association offer meaningful solutions for archives and museums to legally preserve digital-only content and make it accessible for research." Everyone agrees this is a serious problem, but the ESA has repeatedly opposed the efforts of cultural heritage institutions to reform digital copy protection laws to make it easier to do this work. The industry needs to meaningfully come together to the table on this issue, because asking museums to download a copy of Grand Theft Auto 6 and hope that it'll run in 50 years is not a preservation solution. Which, yes, totally agree. There are also a number of organizations that are actively preparing lawsuits. A Dutch nonprofit has filed a 400 million euro class action lawsuit against Sony, specifically arguing that eliminating DISCS removes competition, thus enabling what they call the Sony tax, which is the 30% sales commission I mentioned earlier. Their intent is to build on top of previous lawsuits Sony has already faced. In the UK, there's a £2 billion pound class action lawsuit called PlayStation You Owe Us that's going to trial this year. That is also specifically targeting Sony's 30% cut and their monopoly on digital pricing. And there is a US case called PSN Digital Game Settlement, in which Sony has already agreed to pay $7.85 million to resolve antitrust claims in the digital game market. So it's not just public backlash, it's also legal, professional backlash.
And every one of those lawsuits are going to be struck down. Let's be 100% honest. They don't have a leg to stand on, guys. I'm sorry. I know I've been playing like the advocate. I don't want to say devil's advocate, but the advocate on the other side of this whole entire time. And the reason why is because no other YouTuber is doing this. So here's my problem, right? You can't tell a company that, hey, you guys need to do this because, well, we're scared it's gonna create a monopoly. You gotta prove it, okay? The problem is you have a lot of these games nowadays, third-party games, are coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2 is, they mainly sell physical copies. So that right there already tells you, like, hey, there's competition. Just because Xbox is not in competition or is not much of a competitor to Sony as of right now in this moment, it doesn't mean that that's not going to be fixed in the future. And let's be 100%, let's keep it 100% real. Xbox said that their next console, Project Helix, was going to be more of a console PC hybrid. Well, guess what? Most of that is what? Digital games. 99 point 99% of that is digital games. So I don't think they even planned on having a disc drive until this came out and Sony said this, and they seen the backlash, because at first they were on board with Sony, and then after they seen the backlash, they started saying, well, we might be able to allow you to take your disc copy and convert it into digital, or can't you just rethink about us having a disc drive in Helix now that we see PlayStation sinking on this part. Bro, here's my thing. The problem, like I said, is not physical discs versus digital copies. It's digital ownership. Do you own that license, or are you renting that license, essentially? That's the problem. When you buy a game, in my opinion, when you buy a digital game, you should have ownership of that digital game. Does that mean that you can go out there and resell that digital game? No. Does that mean that you could transfer or re-gift that digital game to a family member or something like that if you don't want it anymore? I think you should be able to do that, but you should only be able to do that a certain amount of times, maybe once or twice, transferring that digital license that you bought. But overall, though, I think when you buy a license, I don't think they should ever be able to take that away from you. That's the part that I'm on, and that's the part that, like, I've seen creators like Asmongold and somebody that he reacted to a video of say, like, we need better consumer protection laws around digital ownership. This is not the only industry that has went through this phase, or just gaming in general. How many of you guys have a gaming PC? How many of you guys have physical gaming PC games? None of you do. And that's because they don't create them anymore. Yes, they have multiple launchers where you can buy that game at, but PlayStation's saying, like, hey, you could go to Walmart, Target, Best Buy, GameStop. You can walk in there in 2028 and you can buy your digital copy of the game from there, or you can buy it directly through the PSN, one of the two. So it's not like, I don't know, man, I think we're just missing the plot. Like I said, overall, if you buy a PS6, if you buy Grand Theft Auto 6, like she said, you should be able to play that 20 years from now. And I think with the backwards compatibility, the way that it is, I think that's a very, very, very realistic thing to be able to do. The only system right now that backwards compatibility is kind of iffy is just the PS3, and that's because when Sony launched the PS3, they tried to do something very fancy with the cell architecture, which is basically the CPU, and it was hard for developers to develop for that system in the beginning. It got better as the generation went along, but overall, though, that's what's locking those games on that system. But PlayStation has been working pretty hard about adding new games, retro games, to their PlayStation Plus membership, where you'd be able to stream that game and be able to play it. I did that with the first Infamous, and I would say it ran very smooth. It ran very smooth. I didn't have any issues with playing that, streaming it. Kind of just is what it is, you know? But anyways, jump back into this. This video is going to be long,
in
guys.
An area that they've already been very heavily scrutinized. Obviously, we don't know how these cases will go. I did initially have some hope that the European Union, who are generally pretty good about helping with consumer protections, might be able to stop this. Worth noting, they were not able to help with the recent Stop Killing Games movement.
You're not going to be able to stop
this. But admittedly still a huge bummer. But they have had some successes in giant regulatory battles against Apple, in which the EU posits that Apple has been acting as a gatekeeper regarding a number of facets of their digital sales. Sadly, an EU commissioner told the European Parliament earlier this week that there isn't anything they can do about this particular one. The commissioner said, it does come down to commercial and contractual freedoms, and companies are free to offer games and services in the manner that they see fit, provided that consumer rights are fully protected in line with national and EU law. There is also a change.org petition up currently at the time that I'm filming this, just over 300,000 signatures. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you would like to sign it, though again, I do not think petitioning and public backlash will work here at all. That's no reason not to do it, but Sony already knew everyone would be pissed off. They knew this. People working at PlayStation first-party studios told me that Sony had the strictest social media guidelines for this particular thing that they've ever seen issued. Sony does somewhat regularly tell employees what they can or can't say about certain things. I was under a lot of guidelines when I was working on God of War Alpha. I still am. And they did send me guidelines regarding what I could say on the date that the game was announced. But in this instance, it is apparently the strictest the employees I spoke to have ever seen regarding public communications. They would only have done this if they knew it was going to be an enormous PR issue. This is no surprise to them. So why is it worth it? While Sony obviously do get a bigger cut when you buy something from them directly, they don't have to eat the cost of physical production and distribution for something that they sell for the same amount. So they make about 50% more revenue from a game they sell digitally. Digital sales are already up and consistently growing in market share versus physical. They didn't really need to force the market on this one. And while direct revenue is great, yay for making more money, it is not an insignificant amount of money. This is just about so much more than that. It's about future-proofing and Sony's current long-term strategy. It is especially important that they show investors right now that they are working real hard on this long-term strat, because Sony's in a kind of dire spot. They've been down by about 19% on the stock market. To be totally clear, I always want to shout this kind of thing from the rooftops when it comes to conversations about the games industry failing or whatever. Sony's games division is very financially healthy. They are very profitable. They had a great year in terms of sales. They had a company record operating income of 463.3 billion yen for the last financial year. That's a 12% year-on-year increase and their highest annual revenue ever. They are making a lot of money, their games are still selling, but on the stock market, they are down by about 19%. This is bad. Obviously, the entire games industry is struggling on the stock market right now for a number of reasons. I have a super extensive video about that up on my channel already. If you would like to watch it, I'll leave a link in the description. And there are three very big parts of that that directly influence play.
Guys, for somebody that's worked in, I have a finance background. I worked in the banking industry for 22 years. Let me be very clear about this, and a lot of people miss this. Your stock price and what happens to your company on the stock exchange is not a direct, it is not a direct reflection of how well your company is actually doing. Be very clear about that. Is there a correlation? There could be. 100% there could be. But is there a end-all be-all direct correlation between the two? No. No. The healthier company could be a lot better than what your stock says. So let's go ahead and just make that clear right now. I personally, my personal opinion about the stock exchange is I don't like it. I think it's legalized gambling. I think that it's so far removed from what it originally was intended to be. When they originally set up the stock exchange, it was a way for small companies to get financing. In exchange for your company getting financed, invested in, basically, you gave shares of ownership of that company to the investors until the point where you could pay them back for their investment, or they got a return on their investment in a monetary sense, and then you could buy them out of their shares. That was so long ago. Now it's just legalized gambling. These hedge funds and all these other people out here that are investors, they sit here and short stocks on companies, basically to make more money, which essentially does hurt the company overall. Like, it's just, it's legalized gambling. And unfortunately, a lot of our pensions and 401ks are tied into the stock market, which was the dumbest decision anybody has ever made in their whole entire life. I don't know who made that decision to do that. And my thing is this, it's like, yeah, there have been a lot of people over the years that have been able to make thousands of dollars that way before they retired, but man, just the way the economy is right now and the way that the economy is trending, that number is going to keep going down. And essentially it's going to get to the point at some point one day where, bro, it's not going to make a difference. All we're going to do is be losing money left and right, bro. So I don't know, bro. It's just like investing in DraftKings or something like that, man. When you invest in some of these stocks, like some of these stocks is like, man, did I hit my parlay? Did LeBron score a certain amount of points during that game? Like, bro, come on, bro. Like, stocks are about the same way, and people get addicted to that stuff, man. It's very unfortunate. Like, that's a real thing. Coming from somebody that has a banking background, like, it's a real thing, guys. It's a real thing.
PlayStation. The first is not really solvable. That is the mature market problem. The mature market is what investors call any industry that has passed its rapid growth phase. This basically means that vast majority of potential customers are already using the product. There aren't any more would-be gamers for the industry to recruit, so there's no more obvious growth to be had. Thus, investors are pivoting to industries that do have more obvious opportunities for growth,
right?
Like AI. There is very little solution to this particular problem. Without inventing some insane new version of like microtransactions, there's nothing that the games industry can really do about this one.
Nope.
The other two, which are the chip shortage and engagement hours, are a bit more solvable, and the diskless future contributes here. I mean, after the announcement was made, Sony's stocks climbed by 7%. It was, despite all of our outrage, a significant success. A success that is, again, much larger than just, oh, some extra revenue from an already dying part of the industry. Then why did this announcement work so well? Let's start with the chip shortage problem, and the solution here is probably not actually what you think. In case you missed my earlier videos about this, the next generation of consoles, of computer game hardware in general, is in a ton of trouble because they need computer chips, and the AI industry is buying up all of said chips in order to put them in data centers. Because supplies are so limited, and Sony and Nintendo specifically have not presented strong enough answers to this obvious problem, they are getting pushback from shareholders. Investors are concerned about their ability to navigate the shortage with hardware manufacturing going forward. So am I. This hardware has become so egregiously expensive that there is no way the PS6 can come in under $1,000, especially with Sony coming out and saying they don't want to operate at a loss. How do you fix this problem? Well, you could shut down your disc manufacturing plant, which was making about 600,000 discs per day, and turn it into an optical microlens fabricating facility. You know what they use optical microlenses for? AI data centers. Sony has invested 30 million EU in this project. Stock market go yay! Sony also recently announced a joint venture with TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, who is the world's largest contract chip maker. It is considered a critical supplier for AI accelerators. This doesn't necessarily solve the chip shortage problem insofar as PlayStation specifically are concerned, but it does show investors that Sony is in the game in a position to profit from the huge demand for chip production, rather than just in a position to lose money because they can't manufacture consoles as easily anymore. They have also come forward, like every other company in the goddamn space, and spoken about their plans to integrate generative AI into game development. Now how I mentioned the mature market problem earlier, mentioning Gen AI is one small appeasement for this. You get to tell investors you're working with this new tech that changes everything. We don't even know the limits of this amazing new tech and what it might do for our games. The future is limitless. It's not, it sucks ass. Every game developer I know absolutely hates it, but stock market, again, go yay!
I think using AI in games, man, like generative AI, is, if they use it in a way where it's not going to take away from the art direction, I mean, maybe. But if they heavily rely on that to make certain assets for a game, it's going to be disastrous, bro. It's going to be disastrous. It's going to be terrible. Now, like I said, if they can use it to maybe, like how they use AI upscalers, if they can use it to maybe make the graphics a little bit sharper, cut down loading times or something, or I don't know, something with frame rate, possibly. I mean, definitely don't do this with the writing. Don't use it for the writing at all, please, for the love of God. You can't do that. You can't use generative AI to generate your whole entire game world. So you can't do that either. So if they can find small things to help speed up things, like maybe generative AI could make the hair for the characters in the games and stuff like that, like maybe that would make, you know, the job a little bit easier. But man, I don't know what else they can really use it for. Small assets that are in the levels and stuff like that, maybe something like that.
Second problem, engagement. Right now, every entertainment industry is competing with social media in terms of user engagement and losing to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Reels. These things are all designed to keep you watching for as long as possible, and that's time people are spending not playing video games. The games industry needs to win that time back, and with that, investor confidence. This is a huge focus for PlayStation.
True.
Looking through their reports, they are laser focused on monthly active users and total gameplay hours. They have openly told investors they're committed to making live service games even after failures like Concord. They cancelled PC ports. They've made a lot of decisions people hate because they're all chasing the same thing, keeping players inside of the PlayStation ecosystem for as long as possible. Getting rid of the part where the consumer goes to the store to buy a physical disc contributes to that. More time for PlayStation. There can only be PlayStation. In sort of optimistic news, even with their doubling down on live service games, PlayStation does still have a huge commitment to high-quality single-player games. Not only do their single-player games push people into that ecosystem, it's also just building up the multimedia aspect of the brand. They are very happy with their film and TV adaptation stuff and are also investing tons in music right now, which is very indicative of where I think we're headed. Do you remember that Don Matrick Xbox E3 conference everyone hated?
Introducing Xbox One. TV,
Bro,
movies,
that was
TV,
such
TV,
a
TV.
I think that's exactly what Sony is trying to do right now. Their long-term strat is to turn PlayStation Plus into a service that gives you access to TV, movies, music, and of course, video games. All PlayStation, all the time. In fact, even though they posted that cute little video of them passing the disc, which, man, did that age poorly?
This is how you share your games on PS4.
I'm quite sure Sony execs would have loved to do this back then. It feels like the games industry has just been waiting for us to be okay with it, to be more on board with an all-digital, all-subscription service future. This is, of course, also a direct path to the inevitable cloud streaming focus, where we stream games from a much smaller PlayStation box or from an app or something. Same shit Microsoft has been trying to do with their This Is an Xbox program, which gamers also hated. I actually don't doubt that Sony's PR and marketing teams might have wanted to wait a little longer before having to drop this news. I think they figured that consumers would get more and more comfortable with digital only, with subscriptions, with cloud streaming, and that we would eventually just wholly accept this future without any pushback. And we're actually kind of not that far off. Obviously, socially, there's plenty of pushback, but I do think that people are pretty financially accepting of this. I hope that I am wrong. I would love to go back to the era where I put a disc in and it played a video game without any downloads, Jesus Christ. But I actually don't think that Sony will see consumer spending go down as a result of this news. People are financially supportive of this. People are largely buying games digitally, even if they say physical means a lot to them. So it's kind of like, considering the state of things on the stock market and the beginning of a new financial year and the lead up to new consoles in this PlayStation Plus ecosystem, I suspect they're gonna start to unveil at some point, they made the decision to finally pull the plug. It's kind of like, well, it's as good a time as any to do this thing we've probably been wanting to do for a decade. Fuck it. Let them be mad. And let me be very clear. Explaining the business logic behind this does not mean that I agree with it. I don't. I hate it. But understanding why they're doing this is important because it explains why no amount of public backlash can change it. Sony believes this is necessary for its long-term strategy, and investors rewarded it the moment it became public. Which is the part where I tapped the sign. The games industry's real customer is the stock market, not the gamer. PlayStation.
Alright guys, that was her video, man. Make sure you guys jump over to her page. I'm gonna link this video in the description below. Jump over there, man. Give her a sub to her channel, and also like this video. My thing, guys, it's about digital ownership. I mean, it's just like when you buy music nowadays from iTunes, or if you stream it. on, let's just say, Apple Music or Spotify, even if you download it on there for offline play, like, you still don't own that you still don't own that music. You can't do whatever you want with that music. You don't own the license. Like, now you used to be able to burn a CD from iTunes of the music that you had purchased, but the thing about that is that nobody even really, there's not even CD players in new cars nowadays. Like, you gotta buy aftermarket radio in order to have a CD player, and it's very hard to find for certain models of cars. Sometimes it's just not possible to put those in cars. And that's the thing, it's like, from what my perspective is, this was always gonna happen. And no matter when it happened, people were gonna be mad about it, guys. Essentially, that's always what you were gonna have. So for me, it kind of is what it is. We're at that point in time where you just gotta suck it up, man, and be like, damn, like, we had a good run with the physical games. Kind of is what it is. And here's my thing too, it's like, if these companies want to manufacture their own physical games for their physical game releases, or for their game releases, then go ahead and do that, bro. Like, Sony's not necessarily stopping you from doing that. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have a disc drive or a separate disc drive, internal or external, or how they're gonna do that for the PS6, but for the PS5, I mean, at least right now, you're gonna have physical games for a little bit longer. I feel bad for you guys that are collectors, bro. I know y'all are pissed, and rightfully so, man. They're taking away a choice that you had to, on the way that you wanted to consume one of your favorite hobbies, and change is difficult. I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend like change isn't difficult, but overall though, I just think, like I said, it always just comes back down to ownership. And if they could make it so that you actually own that game, and they could never take that game away from you, I think it solves all the problems. But you guys let me know in the comments, man. Do you buy physical games, digital games? What is your preferred way to consume, like, video games? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, for me, I went digital only a few years ago now, and I just never looked back. I can never picture myself buying a physical game again, unless I'm just buying it because I want to put it on my shelf back there as like a display item, because I might do that for, like, I have a Cyberpunk section back there for Cyberpunk 2077. The Witcher has like a little section back there. I might buy the physical games just to put on the shelf back there, just to have it as a display item. But overall though, I could never picture myself doing that as a way to, you know, for games or whatever, to play games. But yeah, man, subscribe today to join the kingdom. I'm sorry guys, I am a little bit exhausted from today, and it's from the work week and stuff, so you know, I might be a little monotone a little bit. You know, it just kind of is what it is, guys. I apologize about that. But overall, though, I'm going to try to hop on here more often and post reaction videos. It might not be right away, man. I might be late to the party sometimes, but you guys will at least know what my opinion is. Essentially, and I'm sorry this video ran extremely long, and no, I'm not going to cut it down because I don't feel like fully editing this video. I think I made a lot of good points. I know Alana's video was really well, and she articulated her point really well. And I think if I wouldn't have like mixed the content, my video would have been a lot shorter, but that's beside the point, bro. But anyways, guys, I can ramble on. I am bad about that. I apologize. Bear with me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Your boy's out. Blessings, peace. Let's go. Let's get it, guys. Until next time, y'all be blessed and take care. Above all, keep God first. And make sure you guys Follow me on other platforms like Meta, TikTok. It's A-Eazy Gaming everywhere. Twitch, A-Eazy Gaming, guys. Across the board, it's A-Eazy Gaming. Extremely easy to follow me and find me. Make sure you guys find me on there. But your boy's out, man. Let's go, bro.